You're a midlife woman and you have done all the things, been super successful, high achieving, and completely felt connected to your purpose at one point. And now you've reached this season of life and you're realizing that what once fit has now shifted completely around and now you're feeling disconnected. Like I know I've got purpose. I know that that's in there. And yet somehow along the way, with all the layers of midlife happening, right? All the things that kind of come in and can kind of cover us, I now realize that I want something different for my life. And so, if this is you, then hi, my name is Jen, the founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness, and I'm a transformational midlife purpose coach. And what I do is work with women just like you to help you get clarity, to unravel the layers of things that might be covering you, and really come to understand how you've evolved and changed to stand fully in maybe a new and redefined purpose in your life. And what we do is combine my years of psychology. So I've been doing psychotherapy for over 20 years with my very favorite healing modalities. So it's sort of like a combination of psychology meets spirituality, meets energy work, and personal development. And so if this is something that sounds good to you, hang tight with me. Today we're going to be talking about how to receive. So I love this subject. This subject has lit my soul on absolute fire this week. I have been talking about it already. And I talked about it in my membership last night. We dove deep in my membership. They were so good. And so it was a really beautiful conversation. So today we're going to do that and we're going to do a tapping exercise. So if tapping is new for you, everyone has not experienced that yet. It's super, super easy. I'm going to guide you through the practice in just a few minutes. And so what I would ask of you today, sorry, recovering from COVID, all of a sudden, welcome to COVID. Let me take a sip of water so I'm not doing that through the entire journey. You may see me sip water from time to time. My apologies. Good old COVID got its hands on me over Thanksgiving and I'm still recovering. So what tapping really is this beautiful practice. It's super easy. It's super mobile. And it's one of the reasons I love teaching it. I used to actually provide EMDR when I was in psychotherapy. And EMDR stands for, it doesn't matter, eye movement desensitization reprocess, whole mouthful. Doesn't matter. The whole idea was that actually in many ways, tapping mirrors EMDR. It's not the same level of care. That's not what I'm promoting that it is. But what I really love is that this is actually a simpler and easier, more accessible process so that once you sort of learn it, you can do this at home, which is genius, right? So one of the things I love doing is giving my coaching clients material that they can go and do and use in any facet of their life anytime. So we're going to be doing that today in just a little bit. But first, what I wanted to do was I wanted to open with, why is it so damn hard for women in midlife to receive? I have an entire vlog about it that I put out on Tuesday. If you're on Instagram listening, my apologies. Instagram is super weird this week and like just would not upload it. So you're going to need to go to another platform to catch that. Sorry. My phone has literally been incessantly trying to upload it and it's just being weird and just won't go. Surprise. It's a little bit longer. I will tell you, I do believe it is worth a listen. So if you want to treat it like a podcast and you don't have to see me, right? If you just want to lean in and listen, it's a really powerful conversation to have. So go catch that on YouTube, Facebook, and on my website, as always. I always host my things on my website. This is something else today. On my website. So you can go to laughinglotuswellness.com. I have purpose tools. And right in there, you can go access all my videos. So it's right there for your watching. So if you want it in depth, but I want to quickly lean into why do we have such a trouble? Okay. So it was great even talking to a coaching client this morning about it. And she said, well, I think there's so much connected to this about worthiness, which is very true. But what I want to say, I think, goes even deeper than that. Hi, Teresa. How are you? It goes even deeper than that. So if we think about receiving, and I started the same space y'all did. And so I was in my head and I was like, well, it's worthiness and all these things. And as I started to really dive deep into this idea of receiving, I was like, this is so much bigger. This is so much bigger than even worthiness. And so I'm going to go scientific for just a minute, if you will. So just roll with me. We will not be here long, I promise. So if you're like, oh, science, but just bear with me. And I want us to think for a minute that what we know is that we carry experience and energy, which I know is going to tap into some people's like, lean in, stay with me. Energetically, as we progress from one generation to the next, we actually have some of that DNA that filters through to us, even if we weren't there to experience it, which I know sounds right. But so, for example, I'll just use me as an example today. My mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, so on, so on. those women had experiences and journeys. And then what happens is in their very cellular DNA, some of that material gets passed forward. So I don't have to have experienced some of these things to energetically and on a cellular level still receive some of that data. So the reason this becomes important is if we think back in time, right? And so I know some guy's going to be listening and like, I'm not a man hater, I promise. I'm happily married and have been for like 23, 24 years. I can't even do the math right now because COVID. Is understand that there was time where women did not have rights. We could not leave our husbands and take our children with us. So divorce was not even an option. So we think that, we started voting only X amount of years ago. So, and you're like, what the hell does that have to do with just roll with me? So if I know that on a cellular level, these women long before me had to fight for what they had. They did. Sorry, everyone. This is the truth. They had to fight for what they had. And so in our DNA, in our genes, if you will, riding around with us is this information that tells us that we're going to have to fight for what we get. And in today's day and age, we know that 1 in 3 women will face sexual assault, which I think probably that might even be higher than that. So that's just my quote I found online, my statistic. We know that only 22% of people in office are women, right? And we're still making 20% less than men. Okay. So these are not things about men. This is not me finger pointing. Okay. So just stay with me. So if we had to fight for our things a long time ago, that's genetically riding around with us. And then I show up in this day and age and I'm in this area where I'm still fighting for what I need. And then you take and you look at environments and we wonder why women are competitive with each other. Okay. Well, we're competitive with each other because of all of this. Because if I had to fight for what I needed, I still have that floating around somewhere in my DNA in the way that I made up in my energetic field. And so, because I was always puzzled by like, why are women so damn mean to each other? Do you ever have this experience? Why are women so freaking mean to each other? I don't understand. And so this finally sort of landed for me like, aha, okay. Let's give credit to the fact that we've been conditioned in this in a million ways. We're still conditioned in a million ways, right? Of course. And so can we show up differently, right? I don't want to say ever that the reason I'm defining this for everyone isn't so that you're like, oh my God, we're up against this awful thing. We'll never achieve some evolution. We will, we are. It's just going to take continued effort. But I wanted to really say this because I think that as a woman in midlife, we can show up and feel kind of broken. Like, why can't I just know I've got worthiness. I know that I'm worthy, right? And by midlife, hopefully most of us are landing in a space where we really see that and feel it, right? And then why can't I just be a good receiver? So if you relate to this, if you relate to any of this, if you struggle to receive, you say things like, oh, you shouldn't have, I couldn't possibly take that, that's too much. If you've ever had that instantaneous inclination, guess what's probably riding around with you in your DNA, right? Guess what about all the conditioning that you've experienced about being a nice person, gracious, gratitude. I have a big graciousness piece I've been working on the last year in my own personal work. So this is how I show up. Graciousness personified, which is not a bad thing by itself, except for that turn on its head, any single thing that we do can turn into something that's not useful, right? So in a minute, I'm going to walk you through a receiving tapping journey, and I hope that you will share it out to your people. Why? Because everyone needs to hear it. Everyone needs access to it, and every single woman needs to hear this, that you're not broken. It is firmly my belief that in this last month, I had this ginormous awakening that I actually think that this is in our cells. And in some ways, imagine, if you will, if you're an energy person, and I hope that you are if you're listening, and if you're not, stay with me, and hopefully I can turn you into one. Energetically, if I've had to defend myself and fight for everything I have, okay, there's every likelihood that around my heart, I've created an insulation. And what that insulation can do is we both believe it will protect us, which I understand on the one hand, but secondarily, it's also going to prevent us from deeply connecting with other women. That's a complete travesty. So this month, I'm on hella fire to bring this to you. And so I will just warn you, it's going to be all month long. Last night in the membership, it was like, like laser beams from my eyes, because I'm so passionate about this, because we can be different. We can choose to be different. We don't have to just listen and respond to things that are on that very cellular level. Yes, they might be conditioned in, they might be ingrained in, they might be in our cellular DNA, but we actually can shift and change this. And what it just means is we need to practice. One, we want to unravel and remove blocks that might be sitting with us, old stories and belief systems. This is what I do when I coach. So we want to go in and remove some of that, loosen that up, right? Unravel it, if you will, so that we can start tapping into new behaviors and ideas and belief systems where we not only know our worth, but we feel our worth on a really deep level. And these are two things that we want to kind of combine, right? That head and the heart and the energy, pulling that all together. That's really where the magic happens. So I wanted to just drop that in here. It's a little more conversational than I want to spend time on. What time have we got? Okay. We're going to dive into our exercise. Okay. So if you're new to tapping, you just follow along. Super easy. I'm going to suggest, if you can, say it out loud what I say. Great. If you cannot and you just want to do it in your head, or if, like, let's say you're at your office and you're in your cube and you don't want somebody, like, 2 doors down to be hearing you and being like, what the hell is that person doing over there? That's totally fine. If you want to watch, save it for later. I would actually recommend saving this, coming back to it, because you might utilize this a handful of times. That's what's nice about doing practices in lives, is that you can come back and circle back, enjoy it again and again, and then share it out with your people that might need this kind of resource this time of year. Tapping is just like acupressure. So I want you to think that really what we're doing is we're tapping into places that are acupressure points in your body. And the power of that is that it's helping you integrate the data. So whatever we're saying and doing, it's the dual stimulation, which is actually a piece out of EMDR that I really, really love. You're actually doing those things to integrate and pull information in on a deeper level. So that's what makes it so powerful. And so what we're going to do today is a tapping exercise on receiving. So if you're a midlife woman, I hope you'll lean in, stay with me. And like I said, hope you'll circle back to this. So save it, tag it, flag it, whatever you got to do, and then share it out, send it to yourself, so that you have this and you might circle back to it again to continue doing this work for yourself. And you can change up the words, my friends, right? I'm going to show you like just a routine kind of practice that I do. Always just know that one really easy way to do is to pick a space on your body and tap in one spot. You can just tap over your heart space. I did an event yesterday with Teresa, and who popped in here quickly. And one of her friends in her program likes doing by his eye. Great. You tap by your eye, and that's what lights your soul on fire. Tap there. You want your third eye or that forehead space to tap into your wisdom, tap there. You're not going to go wrong, right? So very often I will tap right in my heart space just to keep it simple. Today, I'm actually going to walk you through the points that I would typically do in a very thorough tapping session. And so for now, you guys, what you can do is you can mark that how far in are we? We're probably about 15 minutes into the time we're talking today. Fast forward, and then you'll know that you can just drop right into the practice. So welcome in. We're going to do a tapping exercise. I invite you to get really comfortable. You're going to be seated this whole time. No big deal. Look at me, I'm rolling up my sleeves. You know what it means, but okay, roll up your sleeves. So what you're going to do is you're going to start tapping in the side of your hand. This is called our karate chop point. It doesn't matter, the side of your hand. Someone did yesterday also, by the way, say this. They sometimes felt discomfort in their body if they tapped in one spot. So I said, move around if you have to. All right. We are going to be moving around today. So hopefully you will not be in one spot long enough that would be uncomfortable. I don't experience that, but I know that everyone's wired differently. So just respect your body. Show up and move things around if you need to, right? The same thing's going to happen no matter how you do it. So as we tap in the side of our hands, I want you to, in your mind's eye, out loud, as I would love to have you repeat it, say, even though I sometimes feel like I struggle with receiving, I completely love, trust, and honor myself. I'm going to say that 4 more times. Even though I sometimes feel like I struggle with receiving, I completely love, trust, and honor myself. My chair's sinking. Continuing to tap. This chair. Okay. 3 more times. Even though I sometimes feel like I struggle with receiving, I completely love, trust, and honor myself. Even though I sometimes feel like I struggle with receiving, I completely love, trust, and honor myself. I think we have one left. I don't know. Even though I sometimes feel like I struggle with receiving, I completely love, trust, and honor myself. And now we're going to shorten that. Struggle to receive. Tap of the head. struggle to receive. Receiving feels hard. Receiving feels hard. Right on the brow. Receiving feels hard. I can doubt that I'm worthy of it. Doubt that I'm worthy. Doubt that I'm worthy. Feel like I might have to compete. Right on the collarbone. Under the arm on the ribs. Feel like I have to compete. I don't always trust that I'll get what I need. I can struggle to trust. But I am worthy of these things. I know I'm worthy of these things. Receiving is abundance. I am abundance. I am walking, talking, living, breathing abundance. Abundance is a divine right. I'm innately granted abundance. Therefore, I can receive. I can receive. I release old patterns of beliefs and stories about what it means to receive. I release those stories. I release those stories. I can change the story. I am in charge of the story. I get to transform the story. I can be a great receiver. I can receive. I want to receive. I am receiving. Receiving is my natural state. Abundance is a natural state. I release old stories so that I can create new ones. I'm creating new stories. I can just say thank you. I can receive without giving. 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 I can just receive. I can say I receive that. I can say thank you, I receive that. I can say thank you, I receive that. And I recognize just by being here that I'm so deeply worthy of receiving. Deeply worthy. Deeply worthy. There is enough for everyone. So I don't have to compete. And I don't always have to share it the way that I think I do. I can release that story. I can just receive. I can create a different relationship with receiving. Creating a different relationship. Creating a different relationship. Creating a different relationship with receiving. I am changing this relationship I have with receiving. What I once thought is different. I am learning to be different. I am learning to receive with my whole self. As I release those old thoughts and patterns, I am learning to receive with my whole self. Receive with my whole heart. I receive with my whole heart. I receive with my whole heart. I'm receiving with my whole heart. Take a nice, beautiful, big, deep breath in. Exhale it out. 2 more breaths, just like that. Inhaling in. Exhaling out. Last one. One more. Nice, big, big belly breath in. Exhaling it out. Audible exhale. Sink and settle. And just taking a moment to notice what might have shuffled around, what might have transformed. And then check in with yourself with each layer of work that you do on a scale of 0 to 10. And 0 is I have no sense of feeling like I can receive, and 10 is I am an abundant receiver. So what you're going to do is you're just going to give yourself a moment to reflect. Where do you land on that scale, 0 to 10? Has something shifted? You want to be shifting up towards that, rating of 10, but it doesn't have to be a straight 10. And go back in and go through that entire series again. And if you want, you can shorten it up. I am practicing receiving. I am receiving. I am wholeheartedly, whole body receiving. I receive. I receive. I receive. I receive. I receive. On the ribs, on the side, I receive. Drop it again. Take another breath in. Exhale it out. So what we do as we practice, you want to recycle and move through the practice again. Stop, take those beautiful breaths in and out. Reflect again. Where am I? How am I feeling? How's this showing up? Am I feeling like I've changed? Could I use some more? What's really beautiful is the flexibility of tapping as a general rule is what's so genius about it. If you're in a hurry and you're like, Jen, I'm not going to remember all this, mumbo jumbo. It's why I love teaching it, just where you're tapping in that heart space, third eye, under the eye. If there's a spot that really resonates for you, it's always great to just tap right into that space. So what's so neat about this tool is it's so flexible, right? The words can change. It's super flexible from, let's say I'm having a hard minute and I need to go and take a walk, take a restroom break. And for 20 seconds, I tap and I just do something where I'm giving myself a different experience. That is really, really powerful. And so I love when I watch people start unfolding using these tools on a really regular basis in their own toolbox. In the beginning, it's really nice to have someone guide us because in the beginning, it's like the words and the things and there's a lot going on, right? That's why it's so useful to have some guidance. But truth be told is that as you do this, as you do tapping as a practice, it becomes much easier, right? There are tapping exercises for anxiety and anger and all kinds of pieces that are actually formal like layouts and structures for tapping. But when you're on the fly, and if you're in a hurry, you can always tap into that heart space, the third eye, beside the eye, whatever feels best to you. And it's about what's going on for you. If it's stress, if it's learning to receive, if it's feeling like you can stand in your power, you can use tapping for literally anything. No joke. If it's the holiday stress, same thing. We can go in and tap into this exercise and allow ourselves to relax and release into it. And typically as you do it, with each layer of time that you do it and practice and pause and then take a breath and just relax and release, you'll find that you're shifting subtly along that line, sometimes very, very quickly. And sometimes if it's something that's a little bit deeper issue for you, it might take you a little bit of time to move your mark. That's okay. So for today, like I said, I invite you to let me know how that was. I would love to hear from you. How was your tapping journey? And then what I would love for you to do is share this out. Really, truly, there's someone out there, a sister, a friend, a mom, somebody out there that needs to have these kinds of tools to help her move through this experience of learning how to receive more fully. And it's something that I'm working in. My membership is working in, my coaching clients are working in it. And so we're all working to kind of unravel this experience we have with it and change it and shake it to the sort of to the ground, right? I want to burn it to the ground so that I can start from scratch. And so I really invite you to do that same journey. We might be wired with some of this, but we can always unravel and shake that up and make it different. That is what the history of psychotherapy shows us. It's the history of coaching, doing work with other people, is really the realization that we have the power, right? This is something that I always want my clients to understand. You actually have the power to unravel and do something different for yourself at any time. So it might take some work. I'm not saying it's always going to be a quick and easy pill to swallow, but what I will tell you is with some work and some effort, we can really quickly generate some shifts. And with time, as we stack those shifts into place and we layer them, that's a big, profound transformation, right? That's the whole idea of the basis of the work that I do with people. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you got a chance to try it on, that you'll save it, store it, come back and recycle and come back through and do this tapping journey, because tapping is so juicy, so beautiful. And then watch for yourself and give yourself the opportunity to stop and just notice and reflect. Be gentle with yourself. Please be graceful. When I ask someone to go in and reflect and give yourself a rating, it's not a grade. And it's not with unkindness. So that's the yogi in me that's eternally talking to that sweet, gentle inner child that everybody's carrying around with them, is like, let's just be really gentle with ourselves. This isn't a rating as a grade. It's just awareness, right? So if we can approach it with this really loving kind of gentle and soft idea, I think it's so much more of a beautiful practice than the one where I'm like beating myself over the head, which you probably do with your words and your thoughts on a pretty regular basis. We want to change that, right? So this is kind of some of the practices that I love to incorporate to help you unravel and explore a different way to have a relationship with these kinds of things in your life. So stay tuned in this month for more Receive information. If you liked this idea and you're like, hey, I could really use some support in this, and you would like to hop on a call, I would love to pop on a Rise for Purpose phone call with you and talk through, and I always coach in a call. So you're not just going to show up and it's not just going to be me selling you something. I'm always going to coach you. So you're always going to walk away with some mindset shift. You're going to walk away with some ideas, some direction, some clarity, and possibly even removing some blocks if we've got some time for it. Depends on each person's different. But I encourage you to hop on a call with me. So send me a message anytime and be like, hey, I would be really interested in just jumping on a call with you and seeing if this is something that could be useful to me. And let me walk you through some more of the details of how things work and get you moving, right? Even if it's all you do is take it to use as a jumpstart, that's a really genius place to begin. Look, it's almost 2023, friends, right? So if you're looking at this next year and you're like, I am trying to figure out how I want to go about this, I want to make some real change, transformation in my life. And I'm going to tell you one of the greatest ways to do that, honestly, is investing in yourself and spending some time in coaching. It's a really, really powerful tool. It's one of the most powerful tools I've experienced in my life. I receive it on a regular basis because that's how much I believe in it. So I also engage in it. It's not just something I dole out. It's something that I engage in and I invest in myself for, because I know the deep importance of it. So just sending you blessings, love, and light. This is Jen supporting you to reinvent midlife on your terms, to support you to stand in your purpose where you are. And I hope to see you next week. We'll be back on Thursday, next same time, same bat channel, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And like I said, feel free to reach out to me anytime with questions, comments, or to set up a time to do a call together. So sending you so much blessings, love, and light this holiday season, wherever you are. I hope that this finds you well, healthy, and safe. And I look forward to seeing you next time.